Hey guys, good morning. It's Rob Caputo for another episode of Talking with Cars, and today what we're going to do is we're going to replace the battery, the main battery, and I believe the only battery on this car because I double checked with a couple different people and it doesn't look like there's an auxiliary battery for this car, but the main battery on this car is a GLE 350, a 2022 GLE 350. It's 4 years old. It's got about 50,000 miles on it, and it's ready for a battery change. So there's a couple things. There's a light indicator that came up. It's a check engine light, but it's not, there's no OBD2 codes. So there's a couple other codes that Carly picked up. You know, I have the Carly OBD2 connector that works on Bluetooth. I'd highly recommend that. There is a subscription for that, but it's always up to date, and it monitors and codes certain cars. So it's a really good product. I'll put a link for that down below. But today what we're gonna do, and I'll move the camera around, is we're gonna change out the battery on that. That's the GLE 350, it's a 2022, and I believe the 2019s Plus are similar. So if you wanna change out the battery on those cars, it's gonna be very similar. Now I would definitely highly recommend that you talk to a mechanic or somebody if you're not comfortable doing this. This is a little bit more difficult than your typical battery exchange because Mercedes in their infinite wisdom, and I think they did it intentionally, is they put the battery underneath the driver's seat. It's not in the engine compartment, it's not in the rear compartment, cargo compartment, it's actually underneath the seat, and you have to remove the seat in order to get to the battery compartment, which is unbelievable. But it is what it is. I mean, even me, you know, I've been working on cars for 20 plus years, 30 years, and I just don't feel like doing this. You know, I really don't. But I got a replacement battery last night. I got a die-hard battery. It's an H8. That's another thing to be very cautious about. The type of battery that's in your car. It could be an H7, it could be an H8. H8 and H7s are very similar in size. I think lengthwise they're the same, a little bit thicker on the H8s. Should work on this car, so cross your fingers, it should work. I went to the auto parts store and they said that this one should work. So, and I wanted to go with something with a higher cold cranking amps, a little bit more power so it lasts. The one thing that I'm experiencing with this car is that it travels short distances, and you know, the life expectancy of a battery isn't as long when you're traveling short distances because you don't have long cycles where you're charging the battery when you're driving and all that kind of stuff. All you're doing is you're going a couple miles, coming back, and it's really a big draw on that battery, you know? So only when you do long drives does it have a chance to kind of recharge that battery, bring it back and cycle it through, and then you have an energized battery. So let's go ahead, let's change the battery out. I'm not gonna film every step of the way, but I'm gonna show you very important steps in order to remove this battery, and you're gonna learn with me because I'm doing this for the first time. This is Talking with Cars. Whoa. All right, just one more thing. Before I take the battery out, I'm gonna put a battery tender on the terminals that are on the engine side, and I'll show you how to do that. But I don't wanna lose any like radio stations or anything like that. I mean, a lot of the stuff that's in the car you won't lose, even if you remove the battery. But I am gonna basically put a battery tender on there, simulating that the battery is still connected, and take the battery out. But when I do take the battery out, that negative terminal, you're gonna wanna wrap that up so it doesn't touch any body panels and stuff like that. So you wanna make sure that there's metal to metal, you know, after you remove the terminals, you know, off the battery. So let's do that. Let's turn this around, and we'll go ahead, open that up, and put the battery tender on it. Just so you see it, the positive terminal is right here. All you have to do is slide this back, and that's the positive terminal, and then you could use any of these body panel bolts as your negative. I don't see a negative terminal anywhere. This, I believe, is not a terminal. This is something totally different. I'm not really quite sure what that is. I don't want to mess with that, but the body panels will be a negative, so you could connect to the negative. And what I'm using is the Ctek battery tender. There's a couple different kinds. This is a Ctek. It's very similar to the standard battery tender that you see normally. And we're gonna leave it be. So now we're gonna go ahead and go in the car, and we're gonna move the seat up. And I'm gonna show you this real quickly. And just so you know, I did take the carpeting out because I wanted to make sure that I had full access, because the weather mat that I had here actually extended further and it went over this panel, which we have to remove. But one of the first things that we need to do is we need to remove these torque bolts that are here on either side, right? Because we have to remove this seat. So what I did is I elevated the seat and moved it forward towards the steering wheel as far as I could so I can access these bolts and loosen them up. So I have that torque wrench. It is back here. What size is that? That is a, let's see, an E12 Torx. So we're good to go. So let's loosen them up and then move to the front side, right? Because the front side is going to have 2 bolts up front. So there's 2 up front, 2 in the rear, and then we should be able to lift the seat and move it back so we can access that battery panel, because the battery is actually located underneath this seat back in here. So we could probably remove this right off the bat. There we go. And you can see the terminal that's here on the inside. So that's the the terminal that's on here. That's a 10mm bolt that's keeping that taut. But and then there's the connection for battery metrics, you know, for the car, so the car understands what's going on with the battery. So anyway, so we have to basically remove all this, move this carpeting back. There's a plastic shroud over this whole thing. So yeah, it's a fun project. But first things first, let's remove these bolts and get them loosened up, and then we'll move over to the front. All right, so same thing for the front, but what we want to do is we want to move the seat back all the way so we can access those bolts that are up front. So continually hold this back until you see the bolts that are right there, right? So you'll see 2 of them, one on that side and one on that side, and then you'll be able to loosen them up and then move this seat back. And a tip is, now is a really good time to kind of clean off any debris or garbage or anything that might have been kind of like in between the seat and the center console, and then all through the floor and through here and all that kind of stuff. So now is a good time to kind of clean that off before you start maneuvering through this. Now the next step, I'm assuming, because the seat is back, as you can see, kind of move this back, got that out of the way. The battery compartment is in here. We're gonna have to move this carpet out of the way. So we're gonna have to peel this back and then move this back. So we're probably gonna have to remove some of this trim. So I'm gonna see about removing this. I'm gonna have to clean this up anyway. So let's remove this, and get this out of the way. All right, so a little maneuvering, but I'm able to get the panel off. These are all just clipped into these little clips in here. And then on the back side, oh, and this rubber gasket that goes around the door, that actually laps over this. So you want to kind of pull that back so you can lift this up. But otherwise, that's basically it. So it's pretty straightforward. That's it. All right, so I think this is far enough back where we can get to everything. So I move the carpeting back this far, and you have to kind of be careful pulling this away because that carpeting actually goes up underneath the fender right there, or that piece goes underneath here. I'll show you here. So this piece of the carpeting actually goes underneath this piece right here. So you have to kind of pull at it and then move it back so you can get to all of this underneath here. So hopefully that makes sense. You'll see it when you actually start peeling it away. Just go slowly because there's a chance that you're gonna, you know, rip a little bit of the foaming, which I did, but not a big deal. Now what we need to do is this shroud right here, or this plastic piece, is a cover. Let's see if I can get this light out of the way. So this is a cover right here, this entire thing, right? So you can move this foam, get this out of the way. Well, you know what? Maybe we have to remove this piece also, right? So the center B column piece, we're probably gonna have to get that out of the way so we can access underneath here. So I'm gonna try to do it without it, but let's see what we can do. All right, so a little difficult, but this wiring loom right here underneath the seat is connected to these two locations. So there's one here and there's one back here, and you have to kind of like slowly pull them. I think I broke this one. So hopefully it has enough meat on there where I can kind of place it back into position. But you can see that, yeah, these are difficult to remove for sure. And hopefully you have new ones. If you don't, you could reuse these. It's not a big deal. So, and then there's 4 bolts that hold this plastic piece on. It's 1, 2, 3. There's a third one back here, and a 4th one underneath this carpet right here. So there's a 4th right there, and then we should be able to just slide this out and remove it. I don't think we need to remove any other pieces. I think we're okay with this. I don't think I need to remove this center B pillar cover off. I don't believe so. I could be wrong, but we're gonna try to do it without it because it doesn't look like anything is connected there. So if we can avoid it, we will. So let's just see if we can slide this out and get it, like move it this way and then move it back out this way. There's a 10 millimeter, and I put an extension, a short extension on it so I can get to that bolt in the back. So one thing to remember is that this is kind of fragile, this piece right here. So what you're gonna wanna do is remove this first from this plastic shroud. And the way you do that is there's a push pin right here. You wanna pull that up with a screwdriver. You can see how that's connected. And then you pull this out so this whole thing is out of the way. So you wanna do that first before you start risking damaging this end here, because all this is styrofoam. It's like it's like a flexible styrofoam, but it's just foam. So you want to make sure you don't damage that. All right, so this is what we have left. So what we're trying to do is remove this whole plastic piece right here. So hopefully I don't have to remove any other pieces, but if I do, then that means I might need to move this seat back a little further and then get a little bit tighter in here, because it is tight, you know, and getting this out of here is not easy. So give yourself a little time, give yourself some patience, and kind of maneuver this out. There's a stud here on the back side where the nut was, these 2 studs here, and then the stud back there. So, and then hopefully we can get this out of the way. All right, so finally we got the cover off. We did have to remove this center B pillar cover off, and that was a little bit of a trick, you know, with this seat being so close, but and these plastic pieces off of the trim piece fell. They didn't fall off, they just kind of came off, but we got to remove them and put them back onto that trim piece so that when we place it back into position, it just pops back in. But yeah, that was a little bit of a struggle, so be patient. Don't break anything. I had to kind of move the seat back and forth a little bit, but there's the battery. All that to get to the battery. This plastic piece just comes off. It's just a cover. Put that aside. We have the monitoring cable here. And just so you know, just back here, there is a mounting piece, right? So that we have to like remove that. And I don't recall, that might be a 12 millimeter. that bolt right there, and then we can remove this entire battery. I'm going to try to remove this when the negative terminal is off, but first things first, I'm going to remove that and get that out of the way. All right, so this is a 13 millimeter, and that's what's going to loosen up this mounting bracket right here. So we're going to remove that first, loosen that up, get it out of the way, remove the 10 millimeter nuts that are holding the battery terminals in place. Don't forget to cover that up if you have a battery tender. And yeah, that's it. All right, so battery's in. What we did is we installed the cap on the one side of the battery. Don't forget to do that. Reinstall the vent that's on this side, right? That vent right there that goes to the back end. Make sure that that's reconnected because it's inside the car. I installed my positive terminal first and then negative terminal last. So it's in reverse order. Make sure everything's connected properly. And then we have our bracket down there, the 13 millimeter bracket that's holding the battery in place. Make sure it's positioned right so it doesn't move. And this thing is sturdy, it's not going anywhere. So now we have to replace all of this, the plastic parts that are over this thing, and do it in reverse order. I'm gonna have to get these things out of the car, put them back on the panel, the side panel here for the B pillar so that I can put that back on. And then we should be good to go. Then we should remount the seat, and then we should be okay. All right, so just so you know that there are positioning pegs on the seat so that they go into the car here. So everything kind of aligns up perfectly. So, all right, let's do everything in reverse order and I'll see you at the end. All right, so all of that's back into position. It was a little easier on the way in than it was on the way out, I could tell you that. Got the ductwork in here. This styrofoam piece is back in place. All of this is bolted down. There's 4 bolts, like I said. Now we just have to put the paneling back together, the B panel, put all this in trim piece in, and then we should be finished. Make sure that this is over this piece right in here. And then this location right here, there's a compression pin that you have to take off of the body panel if it's still on there and put it back onto this trim piece, and then you can snap it back into place. So I just want to make sure that that's in place and the rubber seal is above the trim piece, right? In all locations. And it's snapped into place. Okay, we're done. Batteries changed out. I went in with the CARZILLA again. This is the CARZILLA OBD2 checker. You know, it goes right straight into there. It's a doggle, so you can kind of like connect it to your Bluetooth and then read off of it with your phone. I got those same codes, but at this time it allowed me to clear them, and it says to check in 2 to 3 days. So I'm sure maybe it goes through a cycle in a couple days, 3 days, and it turns that light off of the dashboard, hopefully. So drive the car for a few days, at least I know the battery is solid. I have the battery tender on the other battery to see if anything funky is happening. So far it just continually charges it, and it's at 13 volts, which is kind of odd for a 12 volt battery. So anyway, I think I am happy that I'm changing this out. That's done and over with. It took me a couple hours to do, so be patient, go through it, don't break any body panels or anything like that. Just take your time, just like everything else, right? And be safe, okay? If you don't feel comfortable or don't think you can do something like this, don't do it. Go to a mechanic that you can trust and have them do it. So I'm just glad that I got this done and that's over with. So hopefully that light turns off and we're good to go. So I'll see you on the next one. Hopefully this was helpful. Like, subscribe, ring that bell so you get notified every time a new video comes out, and I'll see you around. Bye.